total superstition,
right,
because they don't do it. So, but they have their own superstitions in their own religion.
That's correct.
The idea that Christians and Catholics go through this superstition, the superstitious behavior, and absolutely think it's real is not the critical thinking or rational thinking that skeptics or atheists have, because they actually believe, they've been indoctrinated, that this particular ritual is real. And I think that's one part of where Christianity is becoming a much bigger part, because you can believe in your personal God, your Jesus, inside without going through those superstitions.
Right.
So basically you don't go through the behavior, but you still believe in the superstitions that that particular ideology represents. Sin, for instance, is a big thing. Heaven and hell, saving or being saved, your soul being saved, a soul being impregnated into a sperm and an egg, or a baby when it's born. Those are superstitious ideologies.
Correct.
But they, of course, don't accept it as superstition. They
One
accept it as absolute truth.
Well, one man's superstition is not necessarily what the other person believes, is what you just said.
That's correct. And of course, every atheist, even in beginning Atheist 101 course, would say something like, well, there are so many religions. Which one is true? All of them say they're true. And of course, when you talk to a Christian, they're the ones that are right. They're the ones that are true. But how can you tell me that there's 2.5 billion Muslims out there, which is much more prevalent than Christianity in the entire world? How can you tell me that those are wrong? To me, it's almost conceited, in a way, for Christians to say that they're the only one, they're the only way.
Right. I think another topic that we're going to be discussing a lot is faith. That's because oftentimes we hear that when we confront a religious believer with something that they can't answer, they use the word faith. So we need to clarify what that is, and basically faith is a willingness to believe what one cannot demonstrate rationally as being true.
No evidence otherwise.
No evidence whatsoever.
Faith,
belief without proof.
Belief without proof, right. And we acknowledge that people need some type of belief system.
Correct.
And a lot of people believe that atheists don't believe in anything.
Right.
And if they rewind their DVR tape, whatever you have to rewind, you'll see we previously stated what we do believe. And there's a multitude of different things that atheists believe in.
Well, as it's been so nobly put many times, atheists believe in the same thing as a Christian believer, except for one crucial issue: we believe in one less God than they do.
Well, that's true. So, we believe in a good life.
Right.
We believe in treating our fellow humans good.
Right.
We believe in we believe that we should live this life fully and leave it better than when we came in it. So Christians and atheists, on a real life level, are very similar.
Yes, there's really no difference. We all suffer from the same problems. We just don't believe in that one God.
Let's talk about some of the misunderstandings. Actually, this is one of the misunderstandings. They think that we're going to hell, and so we're evil people. In fact, I know in the dictionary in the 20s, Webster's dictionary actually used evil people as a description of atheists, which, of course, if you were an atheist, you would, of course, totally think that that was an asinine description. But that was a misunderstanding, that you were an evil person without any type of morals. And I need to talk about that with you. And also Madalyn O'Hara. Everybody over 40 years old probably knows who Madalyn O'Hara is.
Right.
She's an older, gray-haired woman that in 1963 took prayer out of public schools. She was the most hated woman in the U.S., and she was a very, very strong atheist. She was a lawyer, obviously. And I think she did a lot of good for the legal aspect of church and state separation, but she didn't represent what most atheists were, because she was a militant atheist.
That's true, but she did something quite crucial. She brought atheism out of the closet, much like finally the gays going out of the streets and protesting and brought them out of the closet. So yeah, she did a very crucial thing. No matter what people have to say about her, I definitely respect her a lot for what she did.
Absolutely.
Because in those days, the days of McCarthyism and some of these other issues where atheists were really vilified. She did that what most people have always been afraid to do. You just don't stand up and say that you're not a believer, because there was a time when, you know, if you did that, you were executed. Or, you know,
well, stoned.
Or stoned.
They still do that. If you're a non-believer and around, you can be stoned, you know, just like
right.
homosexual.
Right.
Right. Well, I believe that you, for me, when I meet people on a personal level, since I know many, many atheists, I've met hundreds, if not thousands of atheists just in the short time period I've been advocating atheism, that most people don't believe that an atheist could be such a nice person as myself, because atheism is just exploring your world and not believing in superstitious deities. The problem is when people are insulted when we simply speak our minds. They can't believe that we're saying there is no God, as if we're trying to push their God aside in their own lives. We are not. We're not trying to convert anybody on this program. When I go out and advocate my atheism, I'm not trying to convert anybody. I do reserve the right to question, like we said before, and I do plenty of questioning, and I'm getting pretty good at that.
Well, no, it is important to question, but it's also important when you do question, you need to ask questions that put the burden of proof on the religious person. All too often, the religious believer thinks that the burden of proof is upon me not to prove that there is no God. Well, we can't prove negatives. A lot of people just don't understand that when we make a claim, whatever it is, whether it's in science, religion, on the street, it's our responsibility to prove that claim, or to provide, you know, good evidence that that's a valid claim. Unfortunately, we're not taught much about this kind of area in schools at all. Critical thinking is kind of on the bottom of the list in schools.
It is.
And so non-critical thinking reigns supreme, especially within the religious community. There's approximately 25% of religious believers out there that believe that man and dinosaurs lived at the same time.
That's called young Earth creationists.
Right, but you would think that our schools would do a sufficient or good job of teaching kids otherwise. Somehow the message is getting lost in our educational system. We know that science is on the bottom of the pile of critical topics. You know, math, English, reading and writing is crucial. Science kids are only required to take a very small amount of science during their time in school. And that's frustrating, and that probably explains why we have a lot of these problems, why people believe such nonsense. You know, what do you do? It's tough.
It's really tough, and it's getting more political. Unfortunately for science, all the programs that are advocating ID has been tossed aside in the court. The last one was 2005 in Dover, Pennsylvania. And fortunately, it's great that the judge just completely put down the creationists, because those people out there who don't know what ID is intelligent design, which is another word for creationism, meaning that God did it instead of the earth revolved naturally. Vaughn, we're out of time right now, so I want to thank you for stepping in, or stepping up, I should say, and becoming part of the first Orange County Atheist Show. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and I appreciate it, and we'll be looking forward to doing many more of these.